You boys know what's about to happen to you. You'd leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and la Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lorena Creole, and of course, with me is my win woman, of positive fandom. And this is, of course, the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, where we appreciate you, toxic men, and we just show much love for you. So, how are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing great, Lorena. Enjoying the nice, I guess, pre-fall weather for what's to come, and just trying to, enjoy the day. This crazy day it was, but I always have a very good evening when I do toxic male appreciation. So I'm happy for that, Lorena.
Oh, well, you are welcome. You are welcome. You are very, very welcome. I so enjoy doing this show with you, and especially enjoy those of you who have been watching with us, all your great comments in the chat and how much you support the show, whether it's live on Twitch or when we do the repeat at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sundays on my YouTube channel. So, everybody's wondering, well, what are we doing today? Who are we talking about today? Well, if you've been, if you've already seen this already, and of course looked at the thumbnail, we are going to be talking about someone who I have a local connection to and is pretty much what you would call a hometown hero in Philadelphia. And that, of course, would be Sylvester Stallone.
Yes. Yeah, it's so wonderful that we're going to be covering him, because he just has had so much of an influence over entertainment, and pretty much the he's like almost one of the top 10 models for toxic male. Certainly he's remarkable, and I'm just so excited to be talking about him today.
Yeah, he's one of those actors who, and I believe you kind of feel the same way. Kind of like with Arnold Schwarzenegger, these actors that we've grown up watching. So when people would say action star, you're like, yeah, Sylvester Stallone, or Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just that, even oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm drawing like a blank. No, Bruce Willis. Good God, I'm so sorry. Bruce Willis, like that triad of actors and just the action movies that they did in the 80s, and they were just larger than life. And it was always so enjoyable no matter what they were in. You knew you were just in for a good time. And Sylvester Stallone, and if you grew up in Philadelphia, you pretty much know about the Rocky statue outside of the Art Museum in Philadelphia and going up the Art Museum steps. And there's so many people who visit Philadelphia from around the world. They usually want two things: a cheesesteak and to go see the Rocky statue in front of the Art Museum and run up the iconic steps.
Yeah, absolutely, Lorena. It is one of the must-dos when you go to Philadelphia, and it definitely put that cap the building and the steps on the map in the entire world. Everybody recognizes it, and I think what's really interesting is that Sylvester Stallone managed to keep that theme pretty much on throughout most of the films that he's made, let's say as Rocky, which is one of the most iconic movie heroes out there. And we always see a reference back to his roots, to the character's roots, and how important it is for him to sort of still be jogging through the streets of Philadelphia or whatever it is. He never left the place that he knows, the place that made him. And I think that that's also very interesting to put in his story. He's just amazing, of course. He did base the character on another boxer, and I can't remember the man's name. However, I like what Sylvester, he often said that the movie is not about boxing, but you can't step away from the boxing, like you can't, because it has a huge element. And I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I can understand this is his Zen, his way of life. It's something that's important to this character. It's inherent in him. And of course, he is the underdog through, let's say, 99.9% of the movies. He's always the underdog, the person that couldn't do it. And certainly, we just see this wholesome experience that everybody can relate to. Everybody knows a guy like this. This is one of the relatable characters ever on the screen. And Sylvester Stallone, for someone who's written, produced, direct, star, he had to get himself into this physical condition. And yes, it is true. I am going to talk about what great shape he is in. I admit that. Yes, I am doing that.
Heck yeah, that's part of why we watch.
Yeah, this is pure cheesecake. There are some editions of the films, that I'm watching, and I'm like, all right, I got to stop looking at this man's physique. But I can't not look at it. I have to turn away because I'm like, yeah, I'm not even thinking about this movie anymore. But I think it is very interesting that he managed to give the viewer what they want to see. We do want to see this incredibly well-conditioned, even though he's the underdog. He's worked so hard to get there, and you can see it by the gains. You can see it by his, struggle, if you will, to defeat just the normal basic stuff that we see happening. I remember, Lorena, there's one scene where he's working at a processing plant, and they said, we're going to have to let you go. You're the lowest guy on the totem pole. We got to let you go. And he actually says something that I think a lot of people, let's say maybe not you from our generation, but from future generations would be very shocked to see. He actually says, well, I wouldn't mind staying on if you paid me less. I would still stay on the job if you had to pay me less. And I think that if you were to tell anybody that today, they would just be appalled and shocked. But people did things like that back then. They used to work 2 and 3 jobs to, provide for their families. And we're talking about people who were even just scraping by. They were working extra hours, and they would do stuff like that. They would say, I'll take reduced pay just as long as I can still have a job and stuff. So I just think it shows a lot about, the type of individual that he was portraying, but also the mindset of Americans who would work a job and take less pay. They would do it. Like, they were grateful for whatever they could get. And, I think if anything, we see such a strong character who believes that you can still kind of make it in America, regardless of the challenges that he goes through. And there's a lot of them through the series. So, I do admire him for that.
There are so many. And one of the reasons why this is such an iconic character for Sylvester Stallone, and considering he wrote it, wrote it as well, is because he plays the everyman. He's not rich. He doesn't grow up in a rich area. And when you talk about Philadelphia and like streets like this, I see this. I remember like streets that some of my relatives lived on in Philadelphia when he's running, through South Philly, and he's through like Reading Terminal Market. Those are like scenes that, you don't see professionals down there. They're mostly in Center City, but these are like the working people that are out there. And Rocky is like one of them. And it's no matter where you are, people can see where you're in this area where people really don't seem to think much of you. They think they'll just stay there, but they're very proud people, and they're trying to do the best they can, like they said, to provide for their families. And one of the God, I love this movie because of this. One of the reasons that Rocky fights so hard is because of Adrian. He wants to win Adrian's affection. He wants to prove to Adrian that he's enough of a man to take care of her. And she sees that. So she is just like, when nobody believes in you, I believe in you. And that scene at the end of Rocky, um, this movie's been out for I don't know how long, so I'm sorry to spoil it, but you need to go. You need to go and see it. In the end, he winds up losing to Apollo Creed. Even though he loses, we don't feel that he lost at all. He had, the woman who admired him and was even more impressed with him after he won. There was a city that just loved that one of their own went up against the heavyweight champion of the world and put them on the map. So, yeah, again, complete total, this is when toxic masculinity was expected, and this is one of those movies. It's like, oh, it still gets me. It still gets me. And that's why it's such an icon of like pop culture, not only just here, but like around the world. And yet that one role that Stallone will never get away from. I don't think he ever wants to get away from it.
Yeah, and like you said, Lorraine, you don't have to come in first place to be a winner. And this series shows us time and time again that it's about trying to be there for the people that you love. What his motivation was so important, and of course his family and also his friendships with a lot of the other boxers, and ironically with Apollo especially, that blossoms into something that is just really remarkable.
Yeah.
And that seeing that whole experience is something that I think is also a valuable lesson, because obviously in the professional world you have to fight against people and they may be your friends, we know this, but their relationship seemed even deeper than anything I'd ever seen, and I thought was so remarkable of how it was portrayed. It was just so it really got to your gut and your heart, and there aren't a lot of stories that feel that way, but I think a lot of this talent that Sylvester Stallone has is just, as he's an incredible actor, he's an incredible writer. He wants scenes to look a certain way. We knew very specifically why he was wearing these, gray sweats that we all have, right? In the basement somewhere, we all have these gray sweats and this, I put on, my dad used to have a bunch of those hats, I'm like, why does he have so many of these hats? And just that whole experience of seeing that, I think really does talk to and relate, touch a lot of people. I remember my brother throwing on gray sweats, running around the neighborhood, and it is something certainly I think everyone can relate to. As you said, the everyman Lorena, and he's great. He also does have an incredible physique, and I do
Oh
want to
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think we really saw such an incredible performance in regards to conditioning. And I know I talk about conditioning a lot, but honestly, he really was incredible to watch on the screen. And I think it was just wonderful to see stuff like this. We want stuff like this, but we're not necessarily getting stuff like this all the time, are we?
No, and that is why Creed was so popular, and that was a film franchise that I'm like, oh, why the heck do I want to see it? It's just another reboot. But when you watch it, I'm like, wow, this is the angle that they come at. Rocky's still Rocky, and the reason that same like ethos, that same feeling from the Rocky movies is in Creed, but a different flavor. And I think that's why that franchise blew up, so much so that I don't think I got a chance to see the third movie, but the third movie was just the box office take for that was just amazing. And people are like, this is fresh. We love it because it's so reminiscent of this. And like you were saying, these are movies that used to come out one after the other, after the other, after the other, and just things that we would expect to see to come from him. But gonna talk a little bit about, let's see, we have got some more
Oh yeah, there's
films.
like I was going to say Rambo's another one, Lorena, which I don't know if that's the next one you're
Ye-
pulling up, but
let's talk about that one, because that movie, and
yes,
I'm
at a
trying to
time
find
when
it.
no one wanted to talk about Vietnam veterans, the Vietnam War, even politics was kind of tabooish to talk about in the country. And there was maybe a lot of pessimism towards soldiers in general. And yet we were having so many of them coming back and on the streets, let's say, of New York, that were homeless or had run into hard times. And there were these great films that a bunch of directors felt they had to go ahead and push through, like
Hmm.
maybe The Exterminator might be one of them. And of course, First Blood, which is a role that I also think that Sylvester Stallone was born to play this role as well, because he starts off where he's kind of walking around. And of course, the reason why he's walking around is because he's looking for his friend's house, right, Lorena?
Yeah.
And you know, these people, whoever they are, you know, let's say ill-intentioned individuals, kind of mess with him, and they also don't like that he was a soldier and fought in the war. And there was a lot of resentment towards Vietnam veterans
Hmm.
at that time, and it's still a very controversial topic. But then they hated them, they hated these veterans. And even this part here, oh my goodness, where he gets beat up in the station for no
Hmm.
reason. You know, of course, the famous line, he says they drew first blood, but the point is that they didn't have to roughhouse him like this. You know, that
No.
was unnecessary. And certainly he's special forces, so he can get out of anything. But the point is that I think it was a fantastic film showing that mistreatment, you know, maybe not this specifically, but in general, that overall disdain for soldiers who put their lives on the line to fight for, you know, the United States. They didn't know what they were getting into, honestly, when they went over there. And we just saw an incredible performance, not just by Sylvester Stallone, but also, of course, it's Brian Dennehy
Hmm.
and that whole group of guys who, you know, if they didn't fight in the previous war or just, you know, are very resentful about this whole thing. A lot of resentment to go around, but a spectacular performance by Sylvester Stallone where he's, you know, pretty much defending himself. He feels like he's being threatened, and he was. It's legitimate. It's a legitimate argument. He was being threatened. They would have killed him, Lorena, if he didn't fight back. That's what I believe. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of people see that in there. Lorena, what were some of your highlights of Rambo that you enjoy and take home and think about uh, from that franchise?
Well, one of the things that I can definitely say is that first, Rambo was a series series of films that I saw in pieces, just because I'm like, oh, Stallone's on. I'll put it on. But when I actually sat down and watched this, I noticed that a lot of Stallone's films, especially this one, were popular with guys who I knew who served over in Desert Storm and Desert Shield, because when they came home, people seemed very open, like, oh, we're great that you guys came back. And they were kind of just like, you didn't do this for the Vietnam veterans. So a lot of them made it a point to tell people, this is not how you treated the Vietnam veterans. You owe them an apology. So whatever kudos you're going to give us, you need to go ahead and give them. And these movies were a perfect way for those veterans who were maligned, who were demonized. I mean, they were calling them,
Traders.
baby eaters, traitors, every kind of thing like in the book, and contrast that with our veterans from World War II and Korea, where they are basically, we couldn't, do enough for you. So that sentiment, it was prevalent, the shell-shocked veteran from Vietnam. And that was just a trope. So that's why it was wonderful when you had people who got into Hollywood, got these stories into Hollywood, and we're putting on the screen where it could not be ignored. This is how people were treating Vietnam veterans at the time. Again, someone who gave everything for this country. He's in a country, his own country, that doesn't seem to love him back, but he's determined to do the right thing, because he can tell there's like the people who want to help. Like when he meets the widow, I get, was it the widower's mother? no, he went to see
of
one of
his
his
friends,
friends because he
right?
had a picture of
You're
them
right.
on
It was
Vietnam
his mom. That's right, Lorena. He
trying to
was,
find him.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, okay.
And you're right. That's what he was looking for, his friend, because he needed to speak to his friend and make sure he was okay and all this sort of stuff. And when he, of course, Lorraine, and this is leading to a point that I think I interrupted you from making, but this post-traumatic stress that they wanted to deny that the soldiers were going through. This might have been
Yeah.
the first era of understanding and accepting that soldiers did have, or let's say for the general populace, that soldiers went through experiences, and we can now see them visually. We can understand them visually, and we can't ignore them now because the soldiers are right on our doorstep. I remember I was watching, I was listening to a video or a movie. It doesn't have Sylvester Stallone in it. It was called They Shall Never Grow Old. It was about World War I. And the soldiers, one of the soldiers had said that after the war, he went back to the shop that he worked at. And when he arrived in the shop store, the manager had said, "Where have you been? Have you been working nights?" He was unaware that the man had fought in World War I, but it was this naivete, this ignorance of it. Well, now in 1980, there was absolutely no ignorance of it whatsoever. We all knew who these veterans were. It was still very controversial. There's a lot of different opinions going around, and there were a lot of people hurting, like in this photo you have there, where he is obviously experienced PTS, post-traumatic stress. And a lot of people didn't know how to respond to this. And I think his friend, unfortunately, took his own life, right? Is that what happened to his friend?
The one in the picture that he was trying to find?
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
He died of he actually died of cancer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
If I remember correctly. Yeah, he wound up dying of cancer, and wanted to ask if he had any family or anything like that. And she was just like, no. But he was just like, I think he was the one person left, I think, from his platoon. So that was the whole reason why he was there in the first place. But the whole Rambo series, which actually started out as First Blood, but then you had the whole like Rambo series, which was just, I mean, look at this. It's always going to be popular.
Yes, it is always going to be popular. And, there was that just incredible, once again, this character. And this was a draft for Vietnam. So this might have been one of the last drafts, or in the United States. I don't really know the last one, but this might have been the last one. And so it's not like you could tell them no. This wasn't the sort of thing where you could say, well, I'm just not going to show up. They were drafting young men in the 60s, I guess, and 70s for this conflict. And
Right.
it was very difficult for them to, kind of get out of the service. So it was very different and a very unexpected situation for many of these young men to have to deal with this draft in this way and put in a very dangerous situation. So it could have been, once again, I guess for practical purposes, he's not any soldier because he's special forces, but I'm sure any soldier could relate to this if they've seen combat situations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's so many people who I know who were just, who were in the military, and this was like one of their favorite, films to like to watch. So, yeah, great. I'll say a filmography that I actually want on 4K because just the acting, the photography, just how the story builds, the social message behind it. And it's not like they're hitting you over the head with it. They're drawing you into the story, and the story automatically tells what point it is that they're trying to get across. So if we go from that one, there's so much from Stallone, I know, but we're trying to skip through some of the best ones, or the ones. Well, I'm a little prejudiced about that. This I saw this in the theater. Oh my God, this is one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I haven't seen this film in a very, very long time, Lorena. But Sylvester Stallone never stopped making fantastic films. And they were filled many of them were filled with action sequences that were remarkable. And of course, this is no exception. But I don't remember many of the details of this film. Lorraine, you tell me what you loved about this film.
Honestly, I love the beginning. The beginning of the film was just so not what I expected. It was such an emotional gut punch that it stayed with you. But this guy who's a repeller, I can't remember exactly, he's like part of rescue. You know, people get stuck in like cages and stuff like that. He's got to like
Rescue
rappel
guy.
down and and get them. And the tagline, I remember when the advertisements came out, or when you see the tagline for it, it would say, you know, yeah, hang on. And you're like, what? And literally, that's how it is throughout the whole entire thing. He plays such a great hero, and this was in the studio canal. I remember Mario Casar, that group, just crazy action sequences was just like, I cannot freaking believe they did that. Okay, so you know John Wick is famous for doing crazy stuff.
Yes.
This is when they were doing crazy stuff in the 80s, and Keanu probably said, yeah, I need to do that crazy. Yes, that's exactly what this is. Crazy stuff, crazy plot, just grabs you literally. It says, hang on, you do not get a break from it. I think there's like a heist or something that's in there too, you know, there's always some bad guy doing bad freaking stuff. So this is fun. I love this. This is a perfect date movie. You're in the Rocky Mountains, and just the camera angles of Sly just hanging on, because you see that up there, like where he is, he's hanging on and he's like grabbing people. You know, it's the rescue thing. It's so good. It was awesome in the theater when I saw it, I think it was a re-release. Yeah, I saw it, and awesome. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. I was just like the whole time, the whole time, and oh my gosh, when he has to, I'm forgetting who the actress was, but when she's like, "Don't let me go, don't let me go," he's like, "I'm not gonna let you go, I'm not gonna let you go." I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna cry. I'm freaking scared. You better not drop her. It's one of those. So
She was in a TV series called about a doctor who worked in Alaska. And what's her name? It's not there, but she was very popular at that time. And she's a great
Janine Turner?
actor. I'm sorry?
Was it Janine Turner?
Yeah, that's her name. Yes.
Okay, Northern Exposure, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, she was
Mhm.
in it. And it was a very popular series. It was one of the most popular series on TV, along with ER. Was that, you know, I'm trying to remember the series at the time. And yeah, she did a great job. And I could see from the snapshots there, she did a great job. I have to rewatch Cliffhanger. It looks amazing, and that's one I need to watch again. It's been a while.
It's, oh my gosh, it is so good. It's such a good film. Such a good film. And when you go to this next one, there's a reason I'm showing films like this
Yeah.
in order. There is, and oh gosh, I remember this movie, Demolition Man.
I love this film. I think Sandra Bullock was in it as well, right, Lorraine?
Yes, she was.
He gets woken up, and he's found out that the world is incredibly politically correct, and he can't even say F this or without being fined, and it turns out that he was awakened to hunt down someone else. So you know, he has to whip Sandra Bullock into shape, she looks so cute as this officer. You know, I'm like, is that what an officer in the future would look like? You know, like she's so beautiful as this cop, but he really kind of knocks her off of her pedestal, if you will, and they end
Mhm.
up underground eating rat burgers and all sorts of crazy shit. Like it's the coolest thing ever, and it's exactly what we kind of like, one of these futuristic I'm not going to say post-apocalyptic, but futuristic, what if, you know, 20 or 30 years in
Dystopian,
the future.
futuristic kind of thing. Yeah.
And of course, you know, maybe the world is kind of like this, but I don't know. I love that he has to change the way people perceive things and waken them up, if you will. And Wesley Snipes is badass. He's like, I'm gonna have my way with all of you.
Yes.
A great film.
Oh, it was so much fun. So much fun to watch. Like, where's the toilet paper? He doesn't know how to use the 3 shells. There was that. And he's like, I got this unexplainable urge to knit. And it's like, yeah, that's your post-incarceration training. Like something that they did subliminally. So if you had some kind of urge, you know, he had to knit or something like that. And in the future, all restaurants are Taco Bell or something like that. It was just a fun film. Stallone looking hot, doing crazy stuff. Snipes channeling the Dennis Rodman look, doing crazy stuff. Again, sci-fi action thriller, just 100% full of fun. It's obvious Stallone is just having a great time in this film.
And if I remember correctly, they went one step further, and the society had to change. Like there was a change in the society, so
yes, there was.
They couldn't stay the way they were. They had to kind of go back to the basics. And it's like, oh, I have to make my own dinner now, and I have to, you know, sort of like do things by scratch. So that was also kind of fulfilling. I'm like, okay, they had to go back to the way we live now, you know. But it really was enjoyable to watch it.
Yeah, this was just great. This was just great. Another fun action film that didn't take itself seriously, which is why films like John Wick 4 are like raking up at the box office. Because remember when action movies, you know, used to be fun? Remember there was just rampant toxic masculinity and nobody really cared because it was just fun, you know, just fun to watch, fun to enjoy. You know, goal oriented. Yeah, he did. He had Rodman. I think he purposely did that so he looked like Dennis Rodman. I think if I remember from an interview before Dennis Rodman went crazier. Yeah,
definitely. And you know, we got to see just so many fun things that they wanted to address. Where you got fined, you know, if you said a curse word, which is one of the ones that I thought was very funny. And he kept saying, "Oh, what the hell is this? Oh, crap!" And he'd be like, "That is another $10." It was hilarious.
I love that. Instead of Los Angeles, it was San Angeles. They went to foil at her head. I thought that was just. I like this. I like this shot.
It was done a great film. Another great performance by Sylvester Stallone as this character who got quite a wake up call.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Oh, another great film. So speaking of dystopian future films, I swear Stallone was like on a roll with these. I think he was trying to compete with Schwarzenegger. Judge Dredd. Now, this is the version that I've seen. I have not seen the one with Carl Urban yet. People keep telling me I should see it, but I'm a purist. I was like, I don't know if I want to watch that one because I loved this one, which I believe Judge Dredd is based on a comic, I think. But this movie, I so enjoyed this. I punish the guilty. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, and I think it is certainly, and you know, I know they remade it, as you said, with Carl Urban, who is not, I'm sorry, is not Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, he's not. That's why I was just like, I don't really want to see it.
Yeah, he's not going to be, it's not going to have the same feel as some of those early 90s films have. I think this one was 93, but yeah, it probably has been that long since I've seen the film and loved it. But Sylvester Stallone, you're right, was on this role of these futuristic films, or at least things that felt like they were futuristic. Look at that shot. I mean, it's just amazing. The costumes in this particular film, but also Sylvester Stallone. I just think it's makes sense that he was playing roles like this because you wanted to have somebody. I think that his persona, and this was in an era where if the star's name was on the poster, you would go and see the film. So if it said Stallone, on the poster, you're like, oh, Sylvester Stallone. Okay, let me go see that film. And I don't know whether that era still exists. I doubt it. I don't think, maybe for Jason Momoa, but
I don't even, as much as I love him down to his dirty drawers. No, I think Tom Cruise is probably the last person where you put his name up there and people are just like, okay, here, just here, just here's the money.
absolutely, Lorena. I think that is the case. And, you know, in this particular experience that we're having with these roles that Sylvester Stallone is playing, we knew exactly what we were going to expect to see from him in the role. He was going to be, you know, flexing, giving everything he has. And, you know, it was just so wonderful to keep seeing him in productions like this. I have to rewatch Judge Dredd again. But look at how good he looks.
He looks freaking amazing. He
Yeah,
looks
he really
absolutely, absolutely amazing. That, like, you know, 90s action star. Of course, he's not as young as he was in Rocky. I want to say by this time he's been in Hollywood for maybe close to 20 years, making crazy bank with films that sci-fi fans love. It's that mixture of that, like that sci-fi action that, you know, just draws us, you know, like the, again, like the Terminator, you know, like the Terminator, like Aliens, you know, like RoboCop. That's another one. We just love films. Is that I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, I know who you're talking
So
about.
Saturday Night Live. I can't. One of the Sandler crew, like Sandler, Chris Rock, you know, that whole group. Chris Farley, Rob Schneider. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh, you remembered. Okay.
It just hit me in the head. Rob Schneider. Yeah. Yeah. Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo. That's all I'm
That's
gonna
right.
say. That movie was
That is
insane.
right.
But yeah, Judge Dredd was such a fun film. Loved it. I forget who this is, but man, his eyes are far apart. But yeah, great film. Again, another one I need to have on 4K. It's just an absolute bunch of fun. So the reason why I bring up a lot of these other action stars and the reason why I bring up other films like this is because there's a film that's going to be coming out next week, the 22nd, The Expendables 4.
Yes.
Now, if you would have told me that in 2010 you were going to have a movie that has Stallone,
Arnold
Jet Li,
Schwarzenegger.
Arnold
Right.
Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, Mickey Rourke, Stone Cold Steve Austin, was he in this one too?
Yep.
You would have thought, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. And I think when they started advertising this film, they were like, yeah, there was no way back in the day you'd get all of these egos together in the same movie. But by this time, things had changed. They weren't really, I'm not going to say they weren't bankable. It's just that the films were not, they weren't the draw that they once were alone.
Right. Right. And
But to,
certainly, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and together it was like, what? All of them in the same movie doing crazy stuff. You're
Yeah,
kidding me, right? Please don't tell me you're lying to me.
we're very lucky to get an ensemble cast like this. And certainly
Yes.
it was something to think about. It's like, who's the star? Well, they're all the stars in this.
Yes.
And it felt good to see them on the screen anyway. So people loved it. There's, of course, Sylvester Stallone in the director's spot there, or looking at cinematography or whatever he's looking at. But certainly, I think it was an excellent idea to do this to a point where it became an incredibly successful IP.
Yes, it totally did. I think the first one, I didn't see the first one. I saw the second one. I saw the third one, and I can't not wait to watch the fourth one. I saw the trailer. I did a trailer review because I just love these. It's just nuts. Crazy stuff. guys doing crazy things. Some of them ex-military. Some of them just, hey, I just like fighting people and, doing jobs for money. Martial artists. It's just the personalities that are bouncing off of each other, and they're just doing crazy guy stuff, and it's just fun to watch. But there's a lot of heart, in it too.
Absolutely. It is fun to watch. And, that's why we're essentially, revisiting this because, but I also think that as actors, these men still had a lot to give. And
Absolutely.
there's a possibility that if, the Expendables wasn't around, we might not see some of these guys again for quite some time, even despite having made the studios, hundreds of millions of dollars, essentially. Um,
Hmm.
it's just so nice that this series came around, and now it's part 4, right, Lorena?
Yes, now it is part 4, and thankfully back to an R rating because the previous one was PG-13, and you could tell. So I saw the Red Band trailer, and people were like, "There's a Red Band trailer for Expendables 4." I said, "Yes." It's good when they pop up that Red Band trailer. You're just like, bring it. Oh my gosh, it looks like so much fun. It is so much fun to just watch guns, explosions, um, hot chicks, uh, cuss words in there. I mean, it's just hilarious. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to be there the first day it's open to go and see it.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, just if you would have told me 20 years ago, it's like, 20 years ago, there's going to be a movie that has Sylvester Stallone, Jet Li, and Jason Statham in it. Nah.
I agree. I think it's wonderful, and certainly it's going to be an amazing film, and I'm just so glad they made it. And I think we're going to see more things like this going forward because people still want to see these stars.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's like there's things like this that people want to go back and see. It's kind of like when there's newer movies, but they bring back like iconic stars from, from quote unquote yesteryear, and they drop them in there as like guest appearances. It's something we want to see. It's like when Sean Connery would show up in a movie, like Sean Connery in The Untouchables. There was something about that to be able to see him in that. But that's just what these films are. I love it. You've got like some of the young guys that we haven't seen before. Some that we have and we're so happy that they're back. I'm disappointed. I know why. It doesn't seem the same without Bruce Willis being in
Yeah,
it, but we know why. With his fight with dementia, it's just kind of like, oh, it's like we just wish that we could see him in this.
me too. And I understand why we can't, but it does still hurt.
Yeah, it does. But dang, I can't wait to see see this movie. It's gonna be fun. I think this is gonna be the third movie I've seen Jason Statham in for the summer because I saw him in Fast X,
Uh-huh.
then saw him in the Meg 2, and now I'm gonna see him in the Expendables.
Yeah, and it's good to see Jason Statham as well. Certainly, I think he still has many more years in him. So it is wonderful to see him. And Sylvester is just going to keep going strong. I think, we're just going to continue to see amazing movies by him. He's not going to stop doing that. And I'm
Hmm.
grateful that he's continuing on.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, that's on a cargo ship. I'm looking at all the waves and everything.
Mhm.
This is gonna be fun. This is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to see the Starn film. It's
I
funny.
agree.
They'll die when they're dead. That's hilarious. Now there's another series, and this is kind of like a different. I don't want to say a different side of Stallone, but it's one of those roles where it's only something that he could play now. And I haven't seen this, but this series called Tulsa King, which I have heard
Uh-huh.
a lot of good things about. I mean, he's a darn mafioso. I mean, this is like a joke, but it's true. Like Florida has a lot of retired gangsters down here, okay, especially in the villages. So this does not surprise me. It's like you get out of prison. Okay. I've been in a clink for 20 years. I go back to doing what I used to do. Drive for
It
me
does
now.
it does make sense. And I haven't have you watched this, Lorena?
I have not had a chance. I have people telling me how much they love watching this.
And it's a series, right?
Yes, it is a series. It is on Paramount Plus. So you can watch it on Paramount Plus. And yeah, brought to you by the people who did The Sopranos.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. I'm not surprised that Sylvester would be doing this. I think it's wonderful that he did do this, and it's nice to see him in a series.
Yeah, it truly is. So this was just one of them where I just haven't had time to watch, but people keep telling me how fun and how good this show is. And, mafioso gets out of jail. Where's he gonna go? Middle of nowhere. Okay, I'm gonna start up doing what I used to do, and there's probably gonna be like this, I guess, contrast between running organized crime in a large city and running organized crime in the middle of nowhere.
I agree. Certainly, it is going to be an incredible show. And from what I've seen, from what people have said, it just like you, Lorena, they've said it's an incredible show. Once again, he just is not stopping. I think if given the opportunity, I could see him going on for another 20 years. Honestly, I really
Oh
could.
yeah. Oh yeah. I totally believe it. I would say every decade that he ages, he brings something different, to the table. I couldn't see a young Stallone playing this role. There's just something about the age and the gray hair and the experience that you have to have to do this type of role. So I absolutely love it. I love it. I love that he's been able to be in the industry for so long, and kind of like what we've been saying for a while. The stars that they're not young stars anymore, but they're mature male stars. The roles that are specifically crafted for them, not like a charity case, but it's just like, because of your age, because of your experience, this is why you're authentic for this particular character. And not that it's seasoning or anything like that, but he has been in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Absolutely, Lorena.
Have you seen him? It had to be one of the funniest guest spots that I had seen of him in this. So much that they haven't even. Let's see. I bet you I'm gonna have to go through all the casting crew. Daggone it! What do you mean you can't find it? Where is he? Because I know he was
There
in
he
it.
is.
Yeah. I love that. It was just cool.
That's right. That's right. I had forgotten that he's one of the police officers in the that perfect world that I can't remember the guys. Evolutionary created. The evolutionary created. And the evolutionary, he's like one of the security guards in the evolutionary world. I think that's what it is.
Well, he is not Rocket. I know that.
No, he was good in it. And I think having him in a cameo like that is fun to see him in that. And we want to see more stuff like that.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's a kind of like, is that so and so? It's kind of like in which was it? Uh not Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Robin Hood, Men in Tights. When
Yes.
King Richard comes back and it's Patrick Stewart. It's kind of like it's kind of like that.
Hmm.
It's kind of like that. So it's fun, seeing stars like that, older stars, like even seeing was it no, it was Jeff Bridges as Ego
Yes.
in the second one. It's great seeing them and stuff like this. And speaking of things that are coming up, besides Expendables 2, this one they are actually making another cliffhanger.
Really? When?
Yeah, it's in pre-production. I've heard rumblings out there about this one being in pre-production, and I'm kind of just like, I don't know how I kind of feel about it. If since Sylvester Stallone is attached to it, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, but it's kind of just like, how can you? Well, they did it with Creed. Okay, did it with Creed. So I'm like, how can you? I'm not saying it's not possible,
Hmm.
but how can you improve on the original cliffhanger? Just the whole premise was completely new, original, and fresh. So I am interested to see how they do this.
Yeah. I also think that it was a different era, and I wonder what the twist will be now in an era where we mainly have electronic transactions. Like how are they going to handle the money situation? Are people going to be walking around with things of cash? Like how does that work?
Yeah, is it going to be crypto? Um, how the heck is it going to how the heck are they going to do that? But actually, I have an article up here from the Hollywood Reporter. Sylvester Stallone sets cliffhanger reboot with Angel Has Fallen director, and this is dated May 1st, 2023. So it's really fresh. So he's going to be doing a reboot. Sylvester Stallone is ready to scale to new heights with the reboot of his 1993 action thriller Cliffhanger. So
Mhm.
apparently, he's reprising his role as mountain climber and rescue ranger Gabe Walker. He was in the first one, and yeah, of course, without overproductions, and yeah, so written by Michael France with a rewrite by Stallone. So that makes me feel a little better about it. But let's see. We're talking about the original movie. So there's not really much. They're just basically saying what the reboot is, what was so attractive about, the first film. And wow, are they going to be in the Italian Alps? Okay.
Ooh,
Okay, that is interesting.
yeah. Yeah, that is very interesting. It sounds good. And it says he's
Hmm.
a dream come true. Sylvester says it's a dream come true. Um, Maybe they're going to keep revisiting more of his films. Lorena, I think we're far from over from seeing Sylvester Stallone in the big screen.
I agree with you, and I hope he doesn't go anywhere because, frankly, even the Pope is a fan of Sylvester Stallone.
That does not surprise me. And I
Mm,
think it's wonderful the notion of the Pope being a huge fan of Sylvester Stallone. And it's just so refreshing and fun to see that type of excitement and entertainment, especially now at a time where it feels like we've kind of lost a lot. I think it's all coming back, Lorena.
absolutely, 100%.
Toxic male style.
Toxic, exactly. Toxic male, just all of those traits, and frankly, the traits that women want to see on screen.
Mhm.
This is why I keep saying why these are such great, date movies. Because if they were just, hey, just a movie out there for guys, half naked guys in there. Lots of rescues. Heck yeah. We
Love
love that. We
it.
love that. And hope that Sylvester Stallone continues to make films for a long time to come for real. So I would probably put him in the Toxic Male Hall of Fame, I would say, for this for
Yeah,
this show.
I
I would.
I agree. He definitely gets my vote. It's there. It is. It's we voted and it is so.
Yes, we did. We absolutely did. Love it. That's why I love doing this show. Love doing this show. So, my dear, where can people find you?
Yeah, guys, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom, where I do all the parlay and the fandom on Sundays. I have my Sunday brunch show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so do check that out. I also am doing watch parties, and my gaming streams will probably start in October. I'm still trying to figure out what game, Lorena. I still haven't figured out everything, but I will start gaming again, guys. Don't worry. It is there. But I also have watch parties, Lorena. I'm going to be doing SEAL Team their next season, as well as The Crown is coming up. Napoleon, all sorts of incredible things this fall upcoming. Lorena, you and I do a show on the Burn Network called Ladies of the PGS on Monday nights at
Yes.
6 p.m. We are in our second season. So there is that, guys. Do check us out there. And also check me out on Midnight Musings as well. Lorena, you can find me here on Lorena's channel, either on Twitch or on YouTube. Lorena, we have so much to talk about this upcoming season. You guys
Oh,
don't want to miss a thing. So make sure you tune in. And thank you.
yes. As always, I love having you on this show, my dear. So, yes, please do go over and subscribe to with her Positive Fandom. Her Sunday brunch show is amazing. All the parlay and the fandom. And of course, we're going to get her game is set up. Going because we have to play some cooperative games, both of us, sooner rather than later. So yes, of course, you can find me second hour actually over on WDW Pro's live show with Pro and all of his friends. Of course, you can now find me over on That Park Place on youtube.com. All the news that should be fun with an emphasis on theme parks and entertainment. So please do check those out. As for me here on my channel, Saturdays, of course, we have the Florida theme park stroll and chill. This Saturday, I'm going to be dining on some foods from the Food and Wine Festival that jive with my Asian heritage. So if you're scratching your head, guess what? I'm going to explain that on Saturday. And of course, Saturday evening, 7 p.m., the 6K celebration on my channel, the Kimono Anime and Chill stream, and a bunch of my other friends are going to be popping in on the panel. We're just going to be chilling, talking about the anime that we like, and pretty sure we're going to be talking One Piece live action
Oh, yeah.
that's been on Netflix. That as oh my gosh, it's absolutely amazing. Of course, you see me gaming now that Disney Dreamlight Valley has dropped a new update, so I'm blazing through that. So make sure you check out the streams and the videos from that. Sunday, of course, 1 p.m. This show premieres, so you get to see the video replay. And at 8 p.m. Eastern, there is the Welcome to Florida show. All the news that you're just like, oh, man, is that really true? Yeah, it's Florida. It's really true. It's really true. Yes, someone did try to rob the dollar store with the Snickers bar. Yeah, that did happen.
Snickers was satisfying and can help you in a holdup. So who knew?
Yeah, who knew? Snickers could be a deadly weapon. We didn't even know that.
Think I'm hungry. Oh wait, maybe I'll hold up this store. So bizarre.
So, folks, thank you so very much for hanging out with us. We surely do appreciate it. You men out there, stay toxic. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And we will see you next time.